Doug. Tomorrow, and tomorrow creeps in this petty pace from day to day.
JJ, is it the anniversary of Macbeth's victory over King Duncan of Scotland?
It is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. Welcome to the Diehards, the show that digs deeper. Tonight, Doug is continuing unveiling the DDP. And no, I am still not referencing Jake the Snake, although there might be a snake somewhere in his room. But
I'm sure I can find one.
Oh, dear Lord, am I going to have to cancel the pod? Oh, that made my stomach hurt. But no, he's going to show us how to attack our redraft leagues from different spots on the board. And tonight, it's picks 5 through 8. I'm your host, JJ Wenner. And as always, I'm joined by the Fantasy Orthacle himself, Doug Orth. All right, Doug, is there anything the good people should know before we begin?
Yeah, we're just doing your basic PPR draft, and we're going to be starting 3 wide receivers, and I will be picking from slot number 7 tonight.
Okay, and then I'll be asking you a couple questions about the other picks in this middle range. But before we hit start, Diehards, if you're ready to draft, connect, and celebrate women in fantasy football, you don't want to miss the Women of Fantasy Football Series, part of the Circa Las Vegas Fantasy Championships, this August 19th through 22nd. It is probably too late for you to register for the live draft and get to Vegas, but there is still time to register for the online drafts. Spots are limited, so head over to circadraftseries.com/women of fantasy to register today. That's circadraftseries.com/women of fantasy. We'll see you in Vegas. All right, Doug. I am pulling up the big board. You said you're picking from pick 7 tonight. So let's take a look at what we have up here. So from the 7th slot, we see that we had 3 running backs go and 3 wide receivers.
Yeah, I would say this is a pretty customary start to most drafts. I think Bijan Robinson, Saquon Barkley, and Jahmyr Gibbs are typically people's top 3 running backs. And I think Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, and CeeDee Lamb in some order are usually the top 3 receivers. So what this leaves us with, and I'm sure the good folks of around out there can see the order of the big board I have. So we're not so much getting into question marks as we are just outside of the established top 6. And that's okay. Thankfully, I feel I have a lot of confidence in Christian McCaffrey and Derrick Henry. I also kind of like this spot from the perspective of whichever way you go. Even if I did go receiver here, I would feel pretty good about whichever running back would be coming back around to me. Conversely, if I take McCaffrey here, and that is going to be the pick, if I'm taking McCaffrey here, chances are I'm going to get a Drake London, probably not Puka Nacua, but maybe a
Nico Collins.
Nico Collins, at worst, Ladd McConkey, but I don't think it's going to come to that. So why McCaffrey? Yeah, I can hear the people already. Why McCaffrey? He's played a total of 14 games in his 3 injured seasons, right? Well, I would also present the other side, which is in the 2 seasons that he hasn't been injured, he's the overall RB2 and the overall RB1. You can't look at this board and tell me if he stays healthy, and he's been healthy so far in camp. You can't tell me that he doesn't have overall RB1 upside, because He does. He's already proven that he does. Right. So, yes, I know he's getting older. I know he's 29. You know what? Derrick Henry's 31, and he's chugging along just fine, too. I know they're two completely different backs. If McCaffrey's issues were chronic, it would be one thing. His issues aren't chronic. So give me that 2,000 yard total upside, 2,000 total yards upside, and 20 touchdown upside, because that's what he has.
All right, so let's look at the range before you hit draft. So if you were picking 5, would you go with CeeDee Lamb?
Yes, CeeDee Lamb is number 3 on my board. So, and then Jahmyr Gibbs is number 4. So both of those guys would go over Christian McCaffrey, who I have at 5.
What about Justin Jefferson?
Jefferson comes in right after McCaffrey at 6.
Okay.
And then the reason I have
if Jefferson and CMC are available, you're still going CMC?
Correct.
Okay. All right.
And let me go ahead and address the Barkley issue, since I already mentioned it. I'm not out on Barkley. I'm not even. You can make a strong case, and I did in my FF Today piece last week, as to I made the case for both sides. But I will tell you, of the last 6 running backs that have over 450 touches in a season, 5 of them have experienced significant drop-offs. The only one was LaDainian Tomlinson, and that's so. I'm not going to get into the debate there, but Barkley is at 7, and I think that's a smart place to put him, because there is a real chance he will miss games. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and make the pick here, JJ.
All right, so you're going with CMC. Now, if people are looking at this is the Fantasy Pros mock draft simulator. This is a great tool. Now, Doug, on the left there, where you have your rankings.
That's right.
That's not ADP, right?
That is not ADP. That's me doing not a copy and paste, but like a drag and drop into the Fantasy Pros webpage, and then they're giving me. So I did like 210 players, and so then they bring that over, and so I basically get to work off my big board, but just in this panel, as opposed, the only thing that's really missing is the matchup analysis that I do throughout the summer.
And where can people find your big board if they want to use your rankings to draft?
Well, good question, JJ. I'm glad you asked. And I suggest that you do. Knock on wood, I've had 25 years of winning money seasons. I've never had I have yet to lose money in a single season playing fantasy football. So I highly suggest that you benefit from the work that I put in during the summer. So
that's because you're not in leagues with me.
So anyway, you can find my big boards at FF Today, and we'll get into that. I do 5 different versions, and we can get into that at the end of the show. But that's you can find my work, my big boards at FF Today.
All right. So at 2-6 now, we talked about who might still be available. Nico Collins did go, but the first wide receiver you mentioned is sitting right there.
I love it when a plan comes
together. Thank you, Hannibal.
All right. So the folks out there can see that I have Bucky Irving 1 spot ahead of Drake London. Now I'm going to mention this on every show that we do, every one of these draft plan shows that we do. I prefer to start drafts wide receiver, running back, or running back receiver, whichever order. Why? Because it keeps you flexible into the 3rd, 4th, and 5th rounds, as opposed to locks you into, I have to take this position or this position. And if they are anywhere close to each other, then I'm going to take the other position, because there's probably nothing better early in the draft to come away with a what you feel is a clear RB1 and a clear wide receiver 1. Looking at the board, how this draft shaped out, there's 1 clear wide receiver 1 left, as far as I'm concerned, and that's Drake London. Yes, I love Bucky Irving. Yes, I want my fair share of Bucky Irving in drafts this year. This is not a thing against him. This is about building a team, building the best team I can from this draft position. So So why Drake London? Well, we saw at the end of last year what him and Michael Penix could do when they actually, and for the 3 games they were together. As I'm just specifically talking about the last 3 games, and I don't believe that he has overall wide receiver 1 upside, but I do believe he has 150 plus target upside, and that is wide receiver 1 territory. So anyway, in the not for the sake, but in the I can't think of the word, in the hopes of, that's not the word I'm looking for either, but trying to build a balanced team to start out with. Let's go Drake London. Yeah.
Great.
And
all right. So Drake London goes off the board. We come all the way around. Bucky Irving does go. Brees, Chase, Jonathan Taylor, Kyron Williams. So where do we go here? You now have one of each.
I do. And what the phrase I was trying to think of was in the interest of building the best team possible. That's what I was trying to say, JJ.
We've already moved past that. You
geez.
missed the word. It's gone.
I know. Yeah.
You never get a second chance.
Well, that's what
first impression.
That's what the edit button is for, JJ.
Yeah, you don't pay me enough to edit.
All right, so looking at 307 here. And it gets a little bit interesting in that the 2 receivers I would consider here, just as you can see, Devontae Adams and Garrett Wilson. And man, I love the idea of having the 1B receiver for the Rams. But you know what I like a little bit more, JJ?
What do you like a little bit more?
I like the idea of having a running back in a Jim Harbaugh / Greg Roman offense.
Oh.
And if given my druthers, and in particularly because I think there's about 20 wide receiver 2s out there, at least 18 of them, I may go against my board and my better thinking, or maybe I'm just trying to rebound from the first draft that we did. Who knows? But in all seriousness, Omarion Hampton he's not going to last much longer. And I love the idea of having 1,000-yard rushing upside and 10 touchdowns in a Greg Roman / Jim Harbaugh offense. That kind of balances the risk, I believe, from taking McCaffrey in the first round. And that's another consideration to have when you're doing these drafts, is understanding who the players are that are your risk, and then kind of balancing that risk with, maybe it's not trying to cover for what a mistake you made earlier. McCaffrey is not a mistake, but I have to prepare for the possibility that he might miss games because that's what he's done recently. So I don't mind having Hampton as my running back 1 if it comes to it. I don't think it will, but drafting Hampton here, assuming McCaffrey stays healthy, gives me a positional advantage at running back, and that is worth its weight in gold. So unless you have anything else to say, I'm going to go Omarion Hampton here.
So who would, like, at this range though? Devontae would be an option. Garrett and Kenneth Walker, are those the 4 you were sort of deciding between?
Yeah, because the players I'm going to be eyeing with the next pick aren't going. I can almost assure you won't be going until the 4th round. So, but yeah, those are the 4 I'm picking, and the tough choice is between Hampton and Walker. I have them almost right next to each other on my board, and if I could trust Walker staying healthy, he probably would be more of a late 2nd, early 3rd round value than where I have him in the mid 3rd.
Okay.
So
go ahead and take Hampton. Now,
and I just want to mention one other thing. I'm bye week agnostic at this point. I do not care. I don't care about bye weeks really. If honestly, when I draft, I don't look at bye weeks, and then I don't. I basically, the first time I think about bye weeks is when I'm setting my lineup. I know that's probably.
No, I would agree. I'm very bye week curious at this point only. As Doug was mentioning, he did reference yesterday's show, If you did miss that, we covered picks 1 through 4. So go ahead, go to Football Diehards on YouTube and catch that episode. All right. So once you took Hampton, we saw a couple receivers, Higgins, Wilson, Harrison, Adams, and Evans go. We also saw Kamara, Cook, and Walker go. And the last of the top QBs, the last of the top tight ends in Kittle, and one of the top quarterbacks in Jaden Daniels. So what do you do here? Now you have kind of pissed off every 0 RB person out there by taking 2 in the first 3 rounds. I am assuming you have to go wide receiver here.
You would assume correctly. You probably looked at the big board and saw that my next 4 guys were receivers. So I'm not going to give you full credit for that, but I'm going to applaud. Golf clap for that. The only real consideration here outside of receiver is Jalen Hurts. And he's the last of the 4 quarterbacks I would consider this high. Depending on how I've started with my first 3 picks, Hurts could be a consideration. However, and this isn't so much about how I like to build a team, but this is how I like to build a team, at least through the first 4 rounds, is some running back, receiver, or wide receiver, running back, so on and so forth. But having 2 of each, that maintains my flexibility going into the 5th, 6th, and 7th rounds. And honestly, just that kind of balance is going to allow you to scoop value wherever it falls, whether it's the 5th round, the 8th round, or the 10th round. Not locking yourself. If you want to take a look at Team 8, so we built this city, the W right next to me, pick 8. He's 4 receivers. He almost has to go running back with his next probably 2 picks. I don't want to be in that position. I want to be in the position where if Jalen Hurts somehow made it to the 5th round, I want to be able to scoop that up because I have my balance already. So focusing on receiver, there are 4 of them: Tedero McMillan, Terry McLaurin, Devonta Smith, and Calvin Ridley. And I know I'm higher on 2 of those guys than probably the consensus is.
Ridley and Tet, I'm assuming.
I was going to say McLaurin and Smith. They say McLaurin because of his contract situation, Smith because he just seems to be like old person's yesterday's news. I don't know why he gets pushed down to the late 5th round of drafts, but he seems to. I've seen Ridley moving up boards. I've seen McMillan going as early as the early 4th. Actually did a mock today for USA Today, and he went at 401, just to give you an idea of how much his stock is going up. Anyway, Tedero McMillan is going to be my pick here. You already know that I love what he can do and what he did as a college player, and I think what he can be in that Carolina offense. He profiles somewhat similarly to Drake London, but I think he's actually a better player than Drake London. I would say he has a similar situation, and he may not have 150 target upside in year 1, but I would say he's probably got 120 to 130, and that means something when Dave Canales is your head coach and calling the shots. So Tedero McMillan for me is a top 15 receiver, and if I can get him at that spot, I feel like I have 2 top 15 running backs and 2 top 15 receivers.
So my question for you before you pick Ted is, let's say last round that you had taken Devontae Adams.
Sure.
Right? Because it was between really Devontae and Hampton. Would you be more likely to take Hurts here with 1 running back and 2 wide receivers?
Great question. That I think the pick, the choice at that point would be between Chuba Hubbard and Jalen Hurts. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because there again, I have such a high opinion of Tedero McMillan that I'm willing to probably take him in the late 3rd. But given the scenario that you just laid out, I want my second running back. I think Chuba Hubbard is certainly an RB2 at worst. And Jalen Hurts gives me that positional advantage over about 8 teams in the league if I go that route. And one other addition, you can see if you look at the left panel of my big board here, it's nothing but green, which means there's about 10 receivers. So I can wait until the 5th round to get a receiver if I want to.
Okay. So go ahead and make your pick of T-Mac. Oh, a couple of those wide receivers came off the board, as with Joe Burrow. Jalen Hurts almost made it back to you. Going 2 picks before you. So what are you going to do here at 507?
As I said, I want to maintain flexibility and balance as long as possible. This allows me to consider what I think is pretty good value at receiver, but it also allows me to consider a 3rd running back for my flex spot. It also allows me to think tight end. I'm not going to go to tight end quite yet. I'm out of the quarterback business probably until at least round 8, and that just depends on who's available at that point. But so the decision right here is really, I do value RB depth, and I know that wasn't clear from the early draft plan that we did, but that's just the way that draft played out. It's just because I value it doesn't mean that's what I'm going to target. It means I'm going to seek value at every pick possible. So again, looking at the board, the top 5 players are receivers. That one of those will almost certainly make it back to me if that's the way I want to go. So I'm looking more at running back. And I have RJ Harvey and Travion Henderson right next to each other. I don't think I could go wrong with either one of them. And I wouldn't put it out of the realm of possibility if somehow the one I'm not going to take makes it back to me, that I wouldn't go with a 4th running back. But I don't think I'm going to do that. But I'm just saying I wouldn't put it out of possibility. I want as much value out of every pick as possible. Okay. So again, just to repeat myself, the next 5 guys on my big board are receivers. One of them will make it back to me. So that's probably going to be my 6th round pick. So I'm going to go running back here. And the running back I value slightly higher than the other one is RJ Harvey. So unless you want me to, is there anything you want to add before I make the selection here?
No, I'm excited to see who comes back to you.
All right.
I want to see if those 5 receivers go off the board.
My guess is 2 of them do, maybe 3, but let's go ahead and.
I'm going to say 3, but let's see what happens. Wow. One of them went off the board.
So, and you can see there that five running backs, not Travion Henderson went right after my pick, which was about to be expected, but running back depth and running back value dries up real quickly at that point. So, interestingly, that's probably about as early as I've seen Travis Kelce go. Just that for whatever that's worth. Jameson Williams would have been nice had he fell into my lap here, but of course that's not happening. He's getting steamed up pretty highly.
Well, before you get steamed up by somebody falling into your lap, want to crush your draft this season? Then you need to access one of the most accurate rankers in the game, Jody Smith's 2025 Fantasy Football Ranking with Tiers, exclusively at fulltimefantasy.com. Football season is back, and Jody's legendary cheat sheet is ready to help you dominate draft day. Ranked number 2 overall last year, Fantasy Pros Accuracy Contest. I mean, he is number 1 in my heart. Jody's work is trusted by serious fantasy players and is proven to win leagues. Use code BLITZ50 for 50% off your first 2 months and get early access to the rankings, tiers, and members-only content. Sign up now at fulltimefantasy.com. That's fulltimefantasy.com. Go pro. Join Full-Time Fantasy.
No, JJ.
You're number 2 in my heart.
I like Jody too, but come on.
Is that me? I'm sorry. Doug, you're my number 1.
All right.
Believe me, I tried to be political.
No,
Okay.
not even close.
You are always number one, but right now you're number 606. What are you doing with this pick, Doug?
Your transitions are like butter, JJ. They really are. Just butter.
Bad for your heart, but tastes so good.
Yeah. See, that's how you compliment somebody, JJ. Not what you're trying to do. A 2-1, 1-2.
Doug, you are the most handsome man in that room right now.
Yeah. The competition is high.
And you're up.
All right, 606 is the pick. All right. So as we discussed earlier, I had a pretty good feeling that at least some of the receivers would make it back to this point. And so I'm going to look within those first three slots on my big board. I would be willing to consider Evan Ingram as early as 606. That's not what I'm going to do because I don't think he's going to go until at least the 7th round, if not the 8th. I'm already 3 deep at running back. Feel pretty good about that. So I'm looking to fill that flex spot, and I'm not looking at quarterback. So let's just, again, I don't think there's a tight end that I need to take yet. I would take Evan Ingram, but I don't need to take him here. I don't believe. There's not a quarterback here I'm willing to spend a 6th round pick on, and like I said, I'm already 3 deep at running back, so it's kind of pointless to go in that direction. So looking at that flex spot, I have Jalen Waddle 2 picks ahead of George Pickens, but it would take a certain kind of build, and I can't really tell you this is just a feeling. I would take a certain kind of build for me to go with Waddle over Pickens. Waddle is more to the reason I have him there in my big board is because that's more of a projection and hedge that Tyreek Hill will either get traded or get pissy. So, because I think if Hill gets one of those things, then we're looking at a top 15 receiver in Waddle. But at this point, we don't know that. What we do know is George Pickens is a great complement to CeeDee Lamb and probably has. I feel much better about his 1,000-yard, 8-touchdown upside than I do Jalen Waddle's. So, and I could say the same thing probably for Rome Odunze, but I've seen Pickens do it already, and I know that offense is going to throw the ball a lot. So, and I like Dak slightly better as a quarterback than I do Caleb Williams right now. So, anyway, George Pickens is where I'm going to lean with this pick.
All right, so George Pickens is going off at 606. Jameson Hutchinson somewhere is very happy about this pick. If that pick hits, as I said in yesterday's show, high noons are on JMO. All right, so 707. You were correct. That hurts me to say it. Sort of like Fonzie saying, I'm sorry.
Oh.
Who are you going with now at 707? Evan Ingram is still available.
Again, referring to the big board, Rome Odunze is pick 55 for me. And as you mentioned, Evan Ingram would be a consideration here. Thing is that if you go about seven picks down, the next 5 slots are for tight ends. And I don't mind having any one of those as my tight end 1. So again, I'm looking at receiver, and again, just trying to scoop up as much value as possible. And what did I say with the George Pickens pick? That I thought Rome Odunze had a legitimate shot at 1,000 yards and 8 touchdowns. Not as good as Pickens, but I think he has a chance. That's going to fill my flex spot. So I'd rather not deal with Stephon Diggs' injury, even though it sounds and looks like he's going to be okay for week 1. I'd just as soon not have to play that game and the whole his knee being managed throughout the season if I don't have to. Rome Odunze is already healthy, and there's a decent chance that he is 1A or 1B with DJ Moore in that offense. So Rome Odunze is going to be the pick here.
All right, so Rome Odunze goes off the board. I'm hoping Evan Ingram comes back to you.
And look at that.
And look at that. Smash that pick. Evan Ingram falls to 806. Doug, Give me the good news.
All right. Well, I'll keep the folks out there waiting for just a little bit. But as far as Evan Ingram is concerned, why do I like him? Okay. We've learned over the last few years that Sean Payton, he's been on the eternal search for his next Joker ever since he arrived in Denver. I believe he has said it more than once that he expects Evan Ingram to be that. What is the Joker? He's the mismatched guy, either running back or tight end, who is basically the mismatch weapon. I'm sure every offense has one. It's just that we know about Sean Payton's term for his. So Evan Ingram is my tight end 4. It would not surprise me. Would not surprise me at all if he's an 80 catch, 800 yard, 6 to 8 touchdown guy. I think he's being completely not slept on, but I don't think his role in that offense is being appreciated enough or being projected well enough. I won't say there's a good chance that he battles George Kittle for tight end 3 honors, but there's not a 4-round difference between the two guys. So Evan Ingram's going to be the pick.
All right, Evan Ingram goes off the board. Now, normally we were planning on only going to round 8, but I want to know when you're going to take a quarterback at this point. Now your starting lineup is all filled up.
Except for that quarterback, yes.
Except for the quarterback.
And in the interest of giving the viewers more than they bargained for, we're going to go at least one more round with just adding depth, adding value. And it might be 2 more rounds. But does it make sense to go with a 5th receiver over your first quarterback? I'm not sure it does, but to be able to select from 5, let's just say, clear starters every week at a position where you need 3, and if you consider if I'm like most people consider that flex spot to be a receiver likely spot, I need at least 4 receivers every week, so I better have a 5th good one. If one falls in my lap, then I should probably take him. So, and I'll just add this before I make the pick. There are probably anywhere in upwards of 16 quarterbacks that I would be willing to start in any week, or at least use as matchup plays. So the pick for me here is going to be Emeka Egbuka, and why? Because we know that Chris Godwin is, let's just say, dicey to start the season, and if you're dicey to start the season a month away from the start of the season, you're probably dicey into the season. So I'm just going to take an upside shot on this one and hope for the best for him. And again, just scooping up value. So,
all right, so Egbuka goes off the board. We come back around. Brock Purdy has gone off the board. Now, we still have a lot of good quarterbacks left. We have Caleb Williams. We have Dak Prescott. I can't scroll down, but we have a couple more who all fall into that medium range, right? We have JJ McCarthy, Justin Fields, who I love, Jordan Love, and Drake May. So I would guess either you're going to take Caleb Williams here to try to stack him with Rome Odunze to give you that option, even though it's not a best ball. Or I think you might wait one more round and really hammer home the value you're getting at running back, wide receiver, and tight end.
JJ, it pains me to say, I like how you're thinking.
All right, so let's go back to the top of the big board, which you can find on FF Today. And we're looking at, you know what I like. You're hovering over Jake Ferguson, the number 3 option. Mm-hmm. Should be a high-scoring passing attack in Dallas. You already have Pickens. You take Ferguson here. Hopefully you can get Dak back in the 11th. Then have a triple stack.
Ooh.
Just like pancakes, baby.
Oh.
So what are we going to do, sir?
All right. Well, I'm not going to make you happy.
That's okay. You never do.
All right. I did like the first half of what you said, which is continuing to pound home the value at running back and or receiver. And I want to continue adding on to my running back depth. Yes, I like the fact that I have 3-1-3 that I trust, but it's week 5 and 2 guys inevitably will have gone down already. So might as well just keep adding on to that. I'm going to be very heavy on Trey Benson this year. Why is that? Well,
I don't know.
James Conner, no one's debating that the fact that James Conner is going to lead that backfield. But everyone from Jonathan Gannon to James Conner have said that Trey Benson, it's maybe not Trey Benson's time, but he's going to be a part of that backfield. And the last thing I'll say here is that we all know Connor's injury history. It didn't rear its ugly head until week 17 last year. But the guy that runs with that much physicality is bound to get hurt at some point. So I'll continue to play quarterback chicken here just because there's so many good ones.
Yeah, I want to see who comes back. Hit the button. Oh, they all came back to you.
They did.
No quarterback went. So at this point, I know you, and you are going to take. I see Caleb, Dak, and Justin at the top. I'm going to say, I'd feel more comfortable with a Dak Pickens stack than a Williams Odunze.
Yeah, and with the 2 draft plans shows that we've already done here, obviously the early one and now this one, the fact that I'm going to probably go with Dak twice over Caleb Williams is going to make me go back to my big board and strongly consider moving Dak ahead of Caleb Williams.
Moving on up.
With that, I'll just say, with that said, we're talking about stacking isn't very important to me in redraft. If I can get it, great, but that's not what I'm seeking. What I do expect from that Dallas offense is a lot of volume in the passing game. There's a good chance Chicago will give me that too, but there's also something to consider with the Bears. In December, it could get really cold, it could get really snowy, and I might not want to play that extreme weather game that late in the season. So, as you said, you're right. I'm going to go with Dak Prescott.
All right, and with that pick, it is time to say goodbye. Doug, let the good people know where they can find you.
I have big boards dropping all month at FF Today. We have PPR, non-PPR, half point PPR, Superflex, and FFVC. I am in week 2 of 4 of dropping those big boards. The last one that went up was the non-PPR. Superflex will probably go up sometime tomorrow. And then round 2 will start next week. And that will be that's all at FF Today. As far as the huddle, I will be posting a offensive line rankings article tonight, and then I'll be doing draft plan columns, basically picking what you would do, what you should do in each of the first 3 rounds from pick 101 all the way through pick 112.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for listening to the pod. Please like and subscribe. I'm at JJ Wenner on the socials, mostly on B-Sky. You can follow the pod at FF Diehards. We're going to be back tomorrow at 8 p.m. with the DDP for the late round picks. Until then, remember, love yourself, know your worth. You are enough. Boat drinks, my friends. Boat drinks.